Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. I'm going to try and do this while they're not using the saws. But today is No Pet Store Puppies Day, and I know I've done videos about puppy mills, how to recognize a puppy mill. I've shared documentaries on puppy mills, but I thought that giving you a bit of background, because there's still a lot of people that don't understand that pet stores typically sell dogs from puppy mills. So Newmarket did something really wonderful, and they're trying to petition to end the sale of live animals in pet stores so that pet stores can just sell supplies and smaller animals like gerbils and fish instead of cats and dogs, which I think is wonderful because we should be rescuing. Short story, we should be rescuing. But the many pet stores get their dogs from puppy mills. And my friend, actually, she rescued her dog from a store that used to be in Markville Mall called Dugan's. And he was a golden doodle. And he was a puppy mill dog. And they didn't know for a really long time, but it turns out he had some genetic conditions and ended up dying of a heart attack last year because of his genetic conditions, unfortunately. So something about puppy mill dogs. The puppies are kept in a cage for the first 6 months of their life. They don't feel grass. They don't get fresh air outside. They're kept indoors. Quite often, it's kind of in a big barn situation. Sometimes it's more of similar to a mink farm in that they're small wire mesh cages, and they're packed side by side, and the mom gives birth, and then she's kept in a cage with the puppies until they've weaned, and then they sell them. They're not socialized with other dogs outside of their litter. Sometimes the litter is separated if it's too big and they want to make sure that the puppies, get a little bit of nutrition before they go off. Sometimes, depending on the puppy mill, they really don't care that much. And quite often they're taken away from their mom too early, meaning they don't get those grooming lessons from their mom. Usually you can tell where a dog is from based on how well they take care of themselves because, for example, Kaya learned all of her grooming habits from her mom. So, after she goes to the bathroom, she'll lick herself, and if she gets dirt on her, sometimes she'll lick her legs and clean it off. She's very good about that. But dogs that don't get that time with their mom often don't exhibit those behaviors. And they're more likely to get, UTIs and kidney infections and that kind of thing because they just don't look after themselves. Physically, it often results in stunted growth because they're not outside and they're not fully extending their limbs to stretch about. And the puppy can be extra small, so this is usually when you get the runt of the litter, but sometimes the whole litter is a runt because they didn't get the exercise that they needed. But they also come with genetic conditions because typically these moms, these breeding dogs, are so overbred that as soon as one litter is out, they impregnate them again. And they're just there to continuously breed dogs until they can't anymore, and then they kill them and replace them, and that's just how puppy mills work. Quite often they also have a very weak immune system because puppy mills are very unsanitary. They think like the worst homeless situation with cages and poop and pee everywhere, and you can't move around because everybody's too close to you, and it's just, the smell is horrible. Their immune systems, they don't get often to breathe fresh air. Sometimes the cages are kept outside, but they're also kept outside when the weather is not great. So when it's a stack of crates and then a small overhang. But if it's raining, if it's cold, they don't always get to be inside, which is really dangerous for their immune system. And obviously it's really unsanitary. So often they can have already had, cuts and scrapes that got infected when they were puppies, and their immune system is so weak by the time that they ship them off that often they don't make it which is really sad. But in Canada, there are over 500,000 homeless animals alone. And Canada is one of the countries that people assume that there's no kill shelters here. And I believe that's true. I didn't confirm it, but I know that the US has a higher rate of kill shelters than here, and Mexico also has quite a few. So quite often we get the stories of, people from other countries shipping dogs up here that they rescue, and that's great. But we also talked about, if you haven't seen it, there was a story that a shipment of dogs came in and there was like 30 dead puppies by the time the plane landed. And quite often when they're shipping large quantities of puppies, this is a puppy mill trying to operate externally and sell their dogs here, because they pick a breed that everybody wants and they'll breed a whole bunch of puppies and they'll pay, $200 a puppy for them, ship them up here to pet stores, and the pet stores will sell them for slightly more than that. But the breeder, the puppy mill will then sell them for, $1,200. Some of them do end up on Kijiji. I got lucky with Kaya. She was on Kijiji, but she wasn't a puppy mill dog. She was on a farm with, a nice family, and there was goats and everything, and she had a really nice puppy time, but something to be really wary of. So if you go to meet a puppy at a pet store and they can't tell you who the parents are and you can't go meet the parents, then I suggest that you don't adopt the dog or buy the dog from the store, because the dog's going to be really sick, and behaviorally they're going to have a lot of issues, and not a lot of pet parents are willing to put in the time and the effort for an animal like that. So if you are, great, go right ahead, but just the knowledge of knowing that that's where the animals come from often will stop people, and then they'll start to get really mad about it, and they'll do things like petition in Newmarket and try and get pet stores to ban them from selling live cats and dogs. So that's my little spiel. I hope that you found that interesting. I know that when I was younger, I didn't know either. And I used to go into pet stores and look at all the dogs. And I was like, oh, someday I'm going to have a dog. This would be so great. I could get that one or I could get that one. But dogs were never meant to be bought from a store. So just something to keep in mind. I know a lot of people are very against Kijiji puppies, and some of them can be really good because Kai is a very well-adjusted dog, but a lot of them aren't. So do your research. Be sure to meet the animal and their parents on site. And if they can't give you that or show you that, then that's a good sign that it's not, the animal is from a puppy mill. Because often the litters are a little extra large because they'll ship in a whole bunch of puppies at the same time. So something to keep in mind. I hope you have a fabulous rest of your week, and I will see you later this week for an Instagram live video.